All right, what's going on, good people? I'm here with Ash Cash. It is such an honor to be here with you, Ash, and thank you for doing this interview.
My pleasure, brother. Yes, sir.
And, so if you guys don't know, Ash is a mentor of mine. He's somebody, we are part of his program, P2P. It's a big deal. So, anybody that's trying to grow and be next level, y'all got to get with this guy and get with P2P family. They also have a podcast too that, can you tell people a little bit more about how they can connect with you guys?
Yeah. So, Path to Prosperity is a movement that we're helping people realize their gifts, right? We're taking them on different paths of prosperity. We help them make money. We help them monetize. Path to Prosperity is a movement where we're helping individuals get on their path to prosperity. We help people make, manage, and multiply money. It's led by Marvin Mitchell, who is Mr. Become Your Own Bank. It's also led by Storm Leroy, the Employed Millionaire, and also led by myself, Ash Cash, the financial motivator. You can connect with us. We got a show called the Path to Prosperity Podcast. And you go to pathtoprosperityshow.com. But we're just three individuals who have had a lot of success in life. And at this stage of our career, we have all the money that we could use in life. We have all the material things. We have all the love. We have all of the abundance that has been promised to us by our higher power. And each of us individually got a directive that, all right, now it's time to help others access their abundance. And that's what we do every day.
Man, I love that. And so the purpose of this show is that we try to get in the middle. Mm-hmm. We had a really great interview with a guy, and he talked about how him getting off crack cocaine, one of the things the Lord instructed him to do was to start mailing money to himself. Mm. So a lot of people hear his glory story of owning the business, doing well, but now, how can I say it? He told the story of the middle to help some people that may be in the middle struggling with addiction. So what I want to do in this is, we know a little bit about your start. Some of them, you go without an introduction, but I want to get in the little middle to help people out who may be in the struggle in that transformation time. So kind of tell us where you are right now. Mm-hmm. Tell us kind of where you started, and then maybe see if we can dig into that middle.
Oh, that's fun, right? So, I'm a kid from the projects. I grew up in Harlem, so I grew up in Harlem, New York City, the St. Nicholas projects. When Jay-Z rapped about I was raised in the projects, roaches and rats, like that was me for real. I lived in my building was in the back of the incinerator. And this is where like all of the garbage from all of the different buildings went and sat, right? So let me paint a picture for y'all, right? So imagine that the sanitation came once a week to pick up garbage, right? Which was every Wednesday. So that means on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, literally every single building, which was 14 of them, when the garbage man took garbage from the incinerator, they dropped it at the back of my building. So you could imagine what it smelled like, right? My building. You could imagine the varmints, the rodents that were inside of my house, because I lived on the first floor. And it wasn't like I lived on the first floor where my window was at level to the street. Mm. And so literally, rats lived in, not mice, like rats were in our house. I'm the youngest of three. And so I was, my mom raised us, single parent home. My dad wasn't around. I got kicked out of school a lot. So, I was I always fought. I was a fighter. I'm good with my hands.
Yeah, me too.
And so, you know what I'm saying?
I'm a boxer.
Yeah. So I got kicked out of school in the first grade, which is crazy to me as a father of two. I got a 14-year-old and an 8-year-old. And in my mind, I can't fathom my son getting kicked out of school at 6 years old, but that was me. I got kicked out of school in the first grade. Got kicked out of school in the 5th grade. got kicked out in the 9th grade, and actually got expelled in the 10th grade. The 10th grade, I didn't do anything. In the 10th grade, I was in the wrong place, wrong time, but I still had this reputation of being a menace. So I got kicked out of school in the 10th grade. I was one mistake away from a felony because I played with illegal guns. My friends sold drugs. I never sold drugs, but I was the stash, so I kind of like held the money a few times. And so I had a really, really tough past. But I also realized that if it wasn't for that past, that's what made me who I am today. And so I have, a similar story to anybody who grew up in an urban environment. No silver spoon in my mouth. Everything I got, like the young people say, I got it out the mud. Like I really got it out the mud. And so to be sitting here now as one of the top financial educators on the planet, right? So I have a very popular podcast called Inside the Vault with Ash Cash. It is a top 200 podcast. So out of all 500,000 business podcasts that exist in the world today, every single week for the last 11 weeks, my podcast has ranked as a top 200 podcast.
That's awesome.
In 26 countries. So it's not just the United States. It's in 26 countries. And so if I could do that, or if God allowed me to do that, let me just be clear, then, I think anybody, you can be, do, or have anything that you put your mind to.
Bro, that's a compelling story. I think a lot of people maybe from an urban, or even if you haven't come from that, just that story of triumph is just very encouraging. So this is the part I love the most.
Yes.
Because I think this is the part a lot of people get lost in. So that you're your place where you were staying, and now where you are, top podcast, doing very successful. That middle piece, like what was the piece to where the light switch came on? What are some things you had to practically do to get out the place that you were? So maybe relationships and stuff, because, I think some people, they make the decision. They say, I want a better life. But then all hell comes at them.
Oh, absolutely.
When they start trying to make a better life.
Yeah.
And so they hear your story and they like, dang, I'm gonna suck. Like life is not going well for me.
Yeah.
So can you speak to that audience? Can you speak to those people?
But that's actually part of the process. So I'm telling y'all right now, if you made a decision to have a better life and hell is starting, like that means that you're on the right direction. I think that's what people don't realize. I think people think that the moment they decide to have a better life, that it automatically switches to a better life. No, all of the dirt needs to, so I'm gonna paint this picture for you. Imagine right now you have a glass, right? And now in that glass, you fill it up with a quarter worth of dirt, right? It's a quarter worth of dirt. That means 3/4 of the glass is clear and empty, but you still have a quarter worth of dirt. And you cannot lift the glass up. If you want to have a clean glass, only thing you can do is pour clean water in it. Right? So think about that. As you pour clean water in the glass, that dirt is gonna stir up. Right? It's gonna stir up. It's gonna be like, it's gonna stir up.
That's the truth.
As you pour more clean water in the glass, it's actually gonna look like the whole glass is dirty.
Yeah.
We didn't add more dirt though.
Right.
We didn't add more dirt. It's still a quarter dirt.
Yeah.
But as I pour in more water, if I pour water if I fill the cup with 3/4 of water, the whole glass is gonna look dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what most people do. They stop right there. They say, man, I want a clean cup. I got a quarter worth of dirt in here. I put in a lot.
Yeah.
I put in 3/4. I put in more clean
100%.
than I did dirty.
Yeah.
But when I look at that cup's still dirty.
Yeah.
But see, what happens is that's where we stop when all hell breaks loose. Not realizing though, if we kept pouring water,
That's good.
all the dirt is eventually gonna pour out. And so you don't stop just because it feels like all hell is breaking loose. You keep pouring so you can get the dirt out.
That's so good.
Right? And that's literally the process of success. The moment I made a decision to live in abundance was the moment all my friends started calling me fake. My family started coming out the woodwork. Like the people that you wouldn't even imagine are the people who it feel like are the enemy all of a sudden. The support system that you think you need is not there. All of the trials and the tribulations and everything that's coming up, you're just saying, well, maybe it's not for me. No, it's not that. It's that the dirt needs to come up. And so I would tell anybody who's going through that, just keep going.
That's so good.
Just keep going.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Can you give us maybe one or two stories of kind of that dirt coming up?
Yeah.
But also too that dirt coming out.
Yeah. So I remember it was 2011. I had just turned 30, and I had this revelation. I was a banker for 15 years, or at that point I was a banker for about 9 years because I started when I was 19. And so, I was just about to turn or 10 years. I was just about to turn 30. I was told, like, I think it was my intuition, it was God that said, Ash, you don't belong here. Then I got a bigger mission for you. And so this was tough, right? Because you got to think, right? At this stage of the game, I'm already a banker for close to 10 years. I'm a branch manager now. I'm making more money than I ever made before in my life. Every single person who thought I wasn't going to be nothing now they think I'm something. Everybody is clapping for me. Everybody, is like, oh my God, Ash, you made it. Now I'm going to make the decision to quit because that's what I was told. So I quit my job. I actually threw myself a retirement party. And all of a sudden, because I've never been an entrepreneur, don't really understand entrepreneurship, all of a sudden, I'm married at this time. I have a daughter. I think my daughter was 2 years old at the time. Mortgage, homeowner, like a lot of responsibilities. I just up and quit my job.
So you up and quit your job with like no backup plan?
With no backup plan.
Whoa.
With no backup plan. Just thought that was the right thing to do. Wow. And then in the beginning, everything was working. I was on radio, Hot 97, Black Enterprise. Like I was getting a lot of traction. I made some money as an entrepreneur. I wrote my first book. I was being recognized, but I wasn't making enough to make ends meet. And so now this decision I made, the dirt, is now coming up because I can't afford the home. So we're about to go into foreclosure. Can't afford to eat. The car company's calling us, to repo the cars and things of that nature. While I'm still on television and radio talking about financial freedom. And so at that point I was ready to quit, and then a lot of people who were praying for my downfall told me you made a mistake. And they were like really kind of like basking in this negativity that I was feeling, this embarrassment, there were days that I cried in my car because as a man, I'm like, how can I not take care of my family? And then I just, stuck it out, and continue. I wound up going back to work. I realized that I needed to change my relationship with money. At that time, I was working hard for money instead of making money work hard for me.
So did you go back to the same industry?
Yeah, I went back to banking. I got a job again. But this time, instead of using my money to buy things, I used the money to invest in real estate. Bought some real estate, created some cash flow for myself. And so as now there's cash flow that I'm earning money that I don't have to work for, I then said, all right, the message was still true though. God still said that he has a bigger message for me. But instead of just quitting cold turkey, I wound up demoting myself, right? So now, let's say I'm making $100,000, but now I got, rental income. I now get a job that's paying me $50,000, so I could buy back my time because I don't need $100,000 anymore because I got this income coming in. I now buy back my time, so I'm making $50,000 that pays the mortgage, do everything like that. This other income that's coming in supplements that, and now I have more time to work on my business until eventually I was making more money in my business than I was in a 9-to-5, and then that's when I just continue to build.
Your message resonates with so many people. I know some of you guys are watching. You kind of like, That's me. That's where I'm at. I'm not getting the financial success. I'm struggling. So you did something that was very like, it took humility
Yes.
to go back.
Yes.
And there are people who out there probably who may need to go back, right? What would you tell somebody who is in a position like that? Do you feel like you going back was like a failure? Or do you feel like, in other words, like maybe you should have kept going? Or do you feel like you going back was like something you needed to do? Because somebody out there, I wouldn't want them to lose their shirt, not going back to something they may need to go back to, because that's a real thing. Sometimes people try to label you a failure because you went back. What would you say?
Yeah, I think the truth of the matter is that the only as long as you have breath in your body, it's not even possible to be a failure, right? Because you only fail when you give up, right? Not when you actually fail. So I also know that everything is in divine timing. So delay is not denial. So because I had to go back to work didn't mean that God was telling me, oh, nah, this entrepreneurship thing isn't for you. There was a lesson that I needed to learn, right? And so for me, I know that there were two lessons I needed to learn. Lesson number one was that I needed to change my relationship with money, right? Stop relying so much on working hard for money. Money needs to work hard for me. Number two, the other lesson that I needed to learn was that sometimes, even when we hear the voice, that we don't have to make drastic moves in order to achieve that, that vision. I think, I believe that God does not embed struggle in our lives in order for us to accept struggle as an identity. God gives us free will, and we could choose the abundance, right? We could choose an abundance of abundance or abundance of lack. But God wants us to be prosperous. God, wants the verse in Jeremiah that says, I got a plan for you, right? Yeah. A plan to what? Not to harm you, right? But a plan to give you more life, right? And so at the end of the day, like, God ain't trying to harm us. God ain't trying to pull a fast one. God ain't gonna tell you to do something, and then when you do it, you're gonna be like, aha, you fit. No, right? So at the end of the day, it was me. I heard the message from God, but I didn't hear God's timing. Mm-hmm. God implanted the idea, and I just, God said I could fly, but God said, look, you can fly, but I need you to learn. I need you to take flying lessons. Yeah. But all I heard was, oh, you can fly, and I went to the roof and I jumped off. I jumped off the building, and then now while I'm falling, I'm like, God, you said I could fly. You said I could fly. God said no. I said you have to take flying lessons first.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah,
that's so good. That's so good. So now, last thing is love the ending of the story and love the middle. I know you got so much meat in there. What would you encourage the people? What would you encourage the people out there who, like I say, my audience is people in the middle, people who made the decision, but they're trying to figure out what to do in the middle. Yeah. What would you do to encourage them about the light at the end of the tunnel? Yeah,
I would just say that be grateful for where you are right now. Stop being so hard on yourself. Stop believing that, you were given this vision and that somehow, you're not going to have the resources to fulfill that vision. Be very intentional about what you desire in life. And as long as you have breath in your body, you have infinite possibilities. You are made in the image and likeness of God. And so if God has infinite possibilities, so are you. Understand that as you are moving in the direction that you desire, there are going to be obstacles that seem to sit in your way, but those are not obstacles. Those are just lessons. Those are there to teach you. Those are there to make you stronger. And as long as you keep going, you will realize that all of the resources that you need are already in your possession, and you just got to keep going in order to access the abundance that is already your birthright.
Man, this is so great. So we're going to have some information on the screen for people to be able to connect with you, Ash, on Instagram and all the links and everything that you're in. Ash, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, brother. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Inspire series. Y'all be inspired.